Welcome to my channel Old Valuable Chiller and today's video, where we're diving deep into the story, design, mintage, and collector value of the Canadian 1-cent coin from 1996. Whether you're a coin collector, a history enthusiast, or someone curious about Canadian currency, this video will guide you through everything you need to know about the 1996 Canadian penny. The Canadian 1-cent coin 1996 holds a special place in numismatic history. Struck by the Royal Canadian Mint, this small copper-plated zinc coin represents more than just 1 cent of monetary value. It carries a legacy of Canada's changing coinage, design evolution, and economic shifts. Many collectors today seek this specific 1996 Canada 1-cent coin for various reasons, including its design, production details, and relevance in the series that would eventually phase out the penny altogether in Canada by 2012. Let's start with the design. On the obverse, the 1996 Canadian penny features the effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, a familiar and iconic profile that's been on Canadian coinage since 1953. The portrait used on the 1996 version is by Dora de Pedrihunt, introduced in 1990. This specific effigy shows the Queen facing right, wearing a royal tiara, with a dignified and calm expression. The inscriptions around the portrait read Elizabeth II DG Regina, meaning Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen. This inscription and design was standard on Canadian pennies through the 1990s. Moving on to the reverse, the 1996 1-cent coin from Canada features the classic maple leaf design, a strong symbol of Canadian identity. Designed by George Kruger Gray and first introduced in 1937, the design depicts two maple leaves on a single twig. The word Canada is inscribed at the top, the denomination 1 cent below it, and the year 1996 is found at the bottom. This iconic image captures the strength and unity of the Canadian people and is one of the most recognized coin reverses in Canadian numismatics. In terms of composition, the 1996 Canada 1-cent coin was struck using copper-plated zinc. This marked a shift in metal composition from previous copper-based coins. The new alloy was adopted for cost-saving purposes, as the Royal Canadian Mint began moving toward more economical materials while maintaining the visual and tactile characteristics of earlier pennies. The weight of the 1996 penny is about 2.25 grams with a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and a plain edge. When we talk about the mintage of the 1996 Canadian penny, it's quite notable. Over 776 million coins were struck that year. With such a high mintage, you might assume that these coins are not rare, and you'd be mostly correct. However, not all 1996 Canadian cents are equal. There are differences in minting quality, preservation state, and possible errors that can make some versions of this coin significantly more valuable than face value. Collectors often seek out high-grade uncirculated 1996 pennies or those in proof-like or proof condition. Coins that are well struck with minimal wear, strong luster, and clean fields can attract a premium, especially those graded by third-party services such as PCGS or NGC. In top condition, a 1996 Canada 1-cent coin can fetch prices ranging from a few dollars to more than $20 or $30 for pristine, red-certified specimens. Some error coins from 1996 are also of great interest. Collectors have reported off-center strikes, double dies, and planchette errors, although these are relatively rare. If you believe you have a 1996 Canadian penny with a minting error, it could be worth examining closely or getting an expert appraisal. In terms of circulation, the 1996 penny was used broadly across Canada during the late 90s and into the early 2000s. It was a time when the penny still played an active role in daily commerce. It's also important to note that the Canadian government would not eliminate the penny until 2012, so this coin still saw regular use in the years leading up to that decision. Historically, the 1996 Canadian cent marks a period of transition, not just in coinage materials, but also in Canada's approach to its currency system. The switch from copper to copper-plated zinc was significant, and it foreshadowed the eventual end of the penny. As such, this coin represents a moment in time that's highly collectible for those who value the evolution of Canadian money. If you're looking to collect the 1996 Canada 1-cent coin, there are a few things to keep in mind. First, condition is key. Red, uncirculated examples are much more valuable than circulated, dull, or corroded ones. Second, check for varieties or errors. Even slight misalignments or doubling can increase value. Third, try to find coins still in mint sets or from proof-like collections for the highest grades. Another interesting factor is the sentimental and nostalgic value. For many Canadians, the penny, especially one from 1996, represents memories of a different economic era. Whether it's saving pennies in jars, using them in school projects, or collecting them as kids, the penny holds a deep cultural significance that goes beyond its tiny monetary worth. Today, the Canadian 1996 1-cent coin is often featured in collector books, coin albums, and online marketplaces. You can find listings on platforms like eBay, Etsy, and numismatic dealer sites. While most circulated examples sell for under $1, certain high-grade or error coins can command much higher prices, especially among dedicated collectors of Canadian coinage. If you're selling or buying a 1996 Canadian penny, be sure to look at the coin's luster, color, surface condition, and strike sharpness. Coins that still retain a full red appearance are far more desirable than brown or dull coins. Certification and encapsulation by a professional grading company can also enhance both the value and the buyer's confidence. In conclusion, the 1996 Canadian 1-cent coin may seem like just another penny, but it carries with it the rich heritage of Canadian coin design, economic change, and collector interest. With over 776 million coins minted, it may not be rare, but its story, symbolism, and potential collector value make it a fascinating subject. Whether you're just starting out in coin collecting or you're a seasoned numismatist, this coin deserves a place in your collection. Don't overlook it when going through old change or browsing coin dealers. Your 1996 Canadian penny might be a little piece of Canadian history waiting to be rediscovered. The Canadian 1-cent coin from 2003 might seem ordinary at first glance, but it holds a special place in Canadian coin history. Why is this particular year important? What makes the 2003 Canada penny so desirable to collectors? Is it rare? What are the mint varieties, and how can you identify a valuable 2003 Canadian cent? Let's answer all of these questions. First, let's take a look at the historical context of the Canadian 1-cent coin. The penny has been a key part of Canada's circulating coinage since Confederation, with the first issue dating back to 1858. Over the decades, the 1-cent coin evolved in composition, size, weight, and design. By 2003, the penny had become a copper-plated zinc coin with a composition of 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper plating. This change was introduced to reduce production costs, as copper had become expensive. The obverse of the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by artist Dora de Pedere Hunt. But this is where things get interesting, because in 2003, two different obverse designs were used. There is the old effigy by Dora de Pedere Hunt and the new effigy by Susanna Blunt. This was the transition year when the Royal Canadian Mint switched from the older crowned portrait to the newer uncrowned version. As a result, two major varieties of the 2003 penny were minted, one with the older portrait and one with the newer portrait. The reverse of the coin remained unchanged, with the iconic maple leaf twig design by George Kruger Gray. This reverse design had been in use since 1937 and is one of the most recognizable images in Canadian coinage. The maple leaf represents Canadian identity and pride and has become a powerful symbol on Canadian coins. Let's talk mintage numbers. The Royal Canadian Mint produced over 673 million 1-cent coins in 2003. However, the exact breakdown between the two obverse varieties is not officially released in detailed form, which adds mystery and interest to this particular year. It is believed that the older crowned portrait by Dora de Pedere Hunt was minted in smaller quantities, especially in business strikes, making that version more collectible. Meanwhile, the new effigy by Susanna Blunt became the standard design for all Canadian coins moving forward. So how can you tell which 2003 penny you have? If the obverse shows Queen Elizabeth II with a crown and a more formal expression, that's the older effigy by Dora de Pedere Hunt. If the Queen is depicted without a crown and with a more natural, mature look, that's the Susanna Blunt design. These subtle differences can make a big impact when determining value and rarity. Now, let's discuss coin values. For most circulated 2003 Canadian 1-cent coins, the value is face value. However, uncirculated and proof-like specimens, particularly those with the older crown portrait, can fetch higher prices. Some proof-like sets and mint sets containing the older effigy are sought after by collectors trying to complete full varieties of Canadian obverse changes. On platforms like eBay, Numista, or other numismatic marketplaces, prices for mint state or near mint examples can range from $1 to $10, depending on condition and demand. High-grade MS65 or higher examples, especially with full red luster, can sell for even more. Keep in mind that packaging, original mint set integrity, and whether the coin has been cleaned or altered will all affect value. There's also an exciting twist. In 2003, A special commemorative 1-cent coin was issued as part of the Canada's Volunteers program, celebrating volunteerism in Canada. This special edition had a stylized V incorporated into the design and was only available in special collector sets. If you come across a 2003 Canadian penny that looks different from the typical maple leaf reverse, it could be this rare and collectible version. These special edition coins are not commonly found in circulation and are highly valued among collectors. Collectors should also be aware of errors and die varieties. Although the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin is not notorious for major mint errors, some double die obverses, off-center strikes, and planchette flaws have been reported. These kinds of minting errors can command premiums depending on their clarity, rarity, and overall eye appeal. If you suspect you have an error coin, it's worth having it evaluated by a reputable numismatist or professional grading service. Let's now go over some tips for identifying and collecting 2003 Canadian 1-cent coins. First, always check both sides of the coin carefully under good lighting and with a magnifier. Look for sharp details in the Queen's portrait to help determine the effigy. Note any die cracks, doubling, or unusual marks that might indicate a rare error. Store coins in non-PVC holders or coin flips to avoid corrosion, and avoid cleaning your coins as it diminishes collector value. You might be asking, is it worth collecting 2003 Canadian pennies today? The answer is yes, especially if you're building a full-year type set, a Queen Elizabeth II obverse design set, or just focusing on unique Canadian coins with transitional varieties. The 2003 cent plays a key role in documenting the evolution of Canadian coinage and the shift in royal portraiture. The penny was officially removed from circulation in Canada in 2013, making every Canadian cent more interesting to collectors. While 2003 isn't considered an extremely rare year, its dual obverse varieties make it a must-have for anyone collecting by type or tracking design changes in the monarch's image. The Canadian 1-cent coin is part of a rich numismatic tradition. Each year, each mint mark, and each design shift tells a piece of Canada's story. From the early colonial tokens to the steel core cents of the 2000s, Canadian pennies like the one from 2003 offer a fascinating journey through time, technology, and art. Before we wrap up, let's summarize the key points about the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin. First, it was a transitional year for the Queen's portrait, with both the older Dora de Pédierhunt crowned effigy and the newer Susanna Blunt uncrowned effigy being issued. Second, while not rare in overall numbers, the crowned effigy version in business strikes is harder to find. Third, a special commemorative volunteer-themed version was also minted and is considered a collectible issue. And finally, well-preserved mint state coins and certified error coins can carry significant premiums in the numismatic market. Whether you're collecting for fun, for investment, or simply for the love of history, the 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin deserves a place in your collection. Keep your eyes open, check your pocket change, and always stay curious about the coins you come across.